because there's a lot of misinformation in relation to what is happening with this World Cup and how government is preparing to impact the lives of thousands of people on this island, including those blessed constituents in St. John. I want to make some brief submissions coming after the Honourable Member for Christchurch West in relation to the preparation process for World Cup that is being held here. And the Honourable Member would have mentioned in part of his submission that the BCA is not part of the process in terms of the World Cup, which is so far from the truth, Mr. Speaker, because the BCA, the acting head of the BCA is in charge of the LOC, the local organizing committee here on island. A plant, Mr. Speaker, that is more than 15 years old is now tired. And there's a need in the 21st century to ensure that we have a product that is fit for purpose, a product that if we're inviting guests from all over the world, that they will be absolutely pleased at what is on offer as it relates to our facilities, Mr. Speaker. And, you know, earlier this month, I did a site visit with the president of Cricket West Indies and Darren Sammy, and he was absolutely pleased, this is Sammy, about the ad that he saw coming out of Barbados to promote the World Cup. And he was suggesting that he immediately spoke to officials in his country, asking them why it is that we were able to produce such an ad to promote the World Cup, and similar was not done in his hometown. Mr. Speaker, as I speak to you today, preparations at the stadium and other locations are about 80% or more completed, and 80% with the understanding that that remaining 20% is not significant in any way at all, because in most cases, it is to do with snagging at the location and final preparations at some of the other venues that will be brought to bear as far as this World Cup is concerned. And I just want to recap, because I know that at the end of the Honourable Member for Christchurch West presentation that he was hurrying through some of the things that are happening at Kensington. And he would have mentioned those lights, and all of the light towers, Mr. Speaker, are now completed. Every single one, they're completed, the lights are affixed. It's just a matter now of the electricians hooking up the lights in the final process of having all of the towers ready for the World Cup. He would have mentioned the screen. We have a situation where regrassing, something as simple as regrassing the oval, Mr. Speaker, because we want to have the location as pretty as you can possibly imagine an outfield will be. We have seen the international cricket and see how all the cricketers slide across the grass. And the outfield on the perimeter, Mr. Speaker, was in a bad shape. And the truth is that we have now replaced that grass, and it is at a level that all of us will be proud of. As of today, Mr. Speaker, 31,000 tickets were sold for games in Barbados. 31,000 tickets. And that number includes persons in Barbados who were able to purchase tickets online. On April 5th, there was a final inspection by ICC and Cricket West Indies in terms of what they were looking for, and I'm pleased to report that Barbados was way in advance of any other location within the Caribbean. The media hub that is being housed at LESC is more than adequate for those 200 or so plus individuals who will be here to cover the Cricket World Cup. the party stand, Mr. Speaker. In terms of numbers, the party stand will have a capacity of 2,500 persons at that particular location. Immediately behind the party stand, we are erecting something called a grandstand that will also facilitate 2,549 persons at that location. There's also a temporary hospitality stand that is 80%, like I said, completed, and this is going adjacent the new site screen that will be put in place. Practice venues. We know that all of the cricket cannot take place at Kensington, so we have all of those practice venues are 80%, again, like I said, completed. Those of us who pass on Robert Street would have seen a whole set of construction work happening at that location to put in new practice pitches there. The one at the West Indies is also in place. Also, the one in St. Philip is ready to take those teams that are coming. The ask, Mr. Speaker, in relation to volunteers is 500 persons. 200 persons attached to Cricket West Indies that are already in place, and training will commence early next month. The other 300, Mr. Speaker, that is coming from the Barbados side in terms of what is happening with the different areas that we would need volunteers, that is also at an advanced stage. Mr. Speaker, you know, the Honourable Member was talking about locations. Haymans, Oystins, and Pelican. These are areas that are being developed as fan zones for Cricket World Cup. And he mentioned the fact that he had issues with vending. Mr. Speaker, from President Kennedy Drive, that whole area leading up to Kensington will be one of those vendor zones. The second one is coming from the gas station in Fontibel and going to Kensington. So we have two arteries that will be utilized as vending zones that persons who want to ply their trade and sell different things can benefit in a financial way from those particular locations. Mr. Speaker, there was, and it was mentioned, I believe, by the Honourable Member for St. Joseph in relation to the box offices, and it is expected that during the first week of May, the box office will be open for persons to be able to purchase tickets to access Kensington Oval. Mr. Speaker, all that is necessary to move this cricket forward is in place. We have the LOC in place, which, like I said, is headed by someone from the BCA. We have the National Organization Committee in place that is headed by Mr. Lynch. And every single week they're meeting to ensure that this particular World Cup is the best that there is. In speaking to President Shallow, he said that every single thing that they would have asked for is now in place in relation to this. And the Honourable Member for Christchurch West would have mentioned it, but like I said, I had a tour. And if you see the internal work that was carried out at Kensington Oval, Mr. Speaker, you will marvel at the changes that were made at that particular location. I'm told for the first time that those ice baths are in place. The facilities in terms of the locker rooms for the different teams is at a truly, truly international level. The only thing that is to be done now in relation to those, like I said, is the snagging process, and we expect that there's not a lot of that will happen. Mr. Speaker, cricket is embedded in our national sports policy. It is one of the planks of the sports policy. It is one of the sporting disciplines that we believe we can monetize based on the fact of what would have happened with past cricketers from Barbados, the icons as we call it. And we are doing everything that is necessary to make sure that the experience coming next month is one that is worth the spend that the Honourable Member was complaining about. Even at my ministry, Mr. Speaker, we are taking steps to ensure that cricket takes that prominent place. What am I speaking about? At the old National Sports Council, and I would have mentioned this, I believe, before, we are converting the facility into two things. One, a secretariat for all national sporting organizations, but in terms of the cricket, we have 5 practice pitches that are being put in place that right now, I believe that it is about a month away before we can launch. And this is our junior academy for cricket in Barbados. 5 practice pitches, and we are bringing in 2 bowling machines to ensure that we have what is necessary for our youngsters to move forward. You know, I heard the Honourable Member for Christchurch South in an interview indicating that nothing is happening for our young people, so they turn into suicide, they turn into drugs, they turn into crime. Mr. Speaker, yesterday evening at 5 o'clock, I was at SJPI, and I suspect that some of the youngsters there will, at some point in time, gravitate to cricket as well. But close to 200 youngsters from across the blocks in this island were involved in an orientation that would see them step into a totally different level in this island. But yet still, the Democratic Labour Party would want you to believe that this government is doing nothing for our young people in this island, on this island. So I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, that I am comfortable as Minister of Sports that all is being done to move the World Cup process forward. I'm satisfied that cricket is alive and well. Those of us who watch television will shortly see a documentary coming from my ministry that chronicles the years of the BCL, and this is being done by Mr. Jamal Smith, and the pieces that I'm told are in that documentary is outstanding from those persons who had their origins in the BCL. So, Mr. Speaker, cricket, lovely cricket, the Mecca is being made ready for the world to come and see what is happening in Barbados. I believe millions of dollars, as mentioned by the chair of the NOC, will redound to all in Barbados, and I am pretty sure that members or constituents from St. John would benefit from the spend that is coming. It would be good, Mr. Speaker, to have our West Indies team in the finals. That is the hope of everyone in the Caribbean. But I want to say to you that regardless of who is in the finals, we are going to put on the best possible show on earth to ensure that cricket, lovely cricket, is seen as that, I would have said, the best place to watch cricket is in Barbados. Mr. Speaker, I know that there are others coming after me, but I just wanted to share some of the things that are happening to update the House and Barbados in terms of what and the stages that we're at with Cricket West Indies. And I believe that by the time those gates are open at Kensington Oval, every single thing will be in place to have the type of experience that all of us imagine. I am obliged.
Honourable Member for the City of Bridgetown.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would like to enter the debate at this stage, not just to give my support, but to emphasize the purpose of such a project, the benefits of such a project, and to bring it down to the most important element of these types of national endeavors for us as an administration and for us as a country. And that is people. People, people, people. I was very happy in this morning's session when the Honourable Member for Christchurch West brought some seriousness back to the debate and the discussion. Because in the earlier session, we were dogged with fear and confession, and we were dogged with a sense of comedy at a very serious matter. And I too have my own fears, and my fear is that myself observing this chamber from 2018, and particularly being involved in it from 2022, I had observed a serious level of seriousness and participation, productivity in doing the people's business. So my fear, sir, is that we are not distracted and taken down that road too often, and that this administration will continue to do its duty and do good by the people of Barbados. Sir, I too would like to add to some of the confessions that were laid in here this morning. And I confess that I believe that a project such as this is money well invested. Not money well spent, sir. Money well invested. Because sometimes we throw around words without understanding the psychology of the word. I heard a word in here that I ain't heard for a while, squandermania. Not associated with us, sir. We are about investing in the future of this nation. And I want to tell Barbados, through you, sir, and through this honorable chamber, again being very serious, that this is about investment. The money spent now will benefit many Barbadians in the now, in the short term. The vendors who can sell a little extra and put some bread and rice and healthier stuff like fruits and vegetables on the table for their families. But sir, when we build out capacity, I don't want to get financial and finance and economic affairs. But sir, when we build out economic capacity, that adds to the GDP growth of the country. And GDP is just a fancy three-letter thing to say the money that a country makes. And when the economic situation is better, when the GDP is higher, well, all boats rise in high tide. All Barbadians are able to benefit. And that is what it is about. It is about what we can do for the people. And that is why anybody standing on their feet in these chambers, sir, should be very careful about how they approach matters. Now I understand opposition, sir. I don't like to compare my previous stint with parliamentary procedures, but I was a member of youth parliament. And I remember sitting on opposition benches. And I remember speaking to my colleagues then. The opposition should not be a case where you just come and talk things that are not true. When you come and mislead. Because one of the things I observed back then, funny enough, one of the members we talk a lot about was on the other side at that time, but I would move on from that. But one of the things I observed then is that members of the government would come to parliamentary session, as I see now, with suitcases and bags and documents and a level of seriousness. And we as opposition, we come in with two lanky hands. What I mean? We just coming to play the fool. But I've always made the point from back then, and I made the point again today because I saw it in here again today, that opposition can be about alternatives. It does not have to be about rancor. It does not have to be about blatantly misleading the public for headlines. And then in his own confession, that he has the ears of more the public than us. Is that what this is about, sir? Or is this about doing the business of the people? Making lives better for people? Helping Barbadians to be able to pay their light bills and their water bills and put food on the table and have something for savings and have something for investment. That they are not just surviving, but they are thriving. I thought that that is what the business in here was about. Not about getting up and trying to get under people's skin like you's a leech. Not about trying to call out people for fun, to grab the ears of the naysayers. Trivial pursuits at its finest. I thought it was about the business of the people. So I want to go on record of saying that I am just signaling the warning. Now, as one of the most junior members, if not the most junior member, probably second youngest, but the newest to the political fray, out of the mouths of babes and suckling, hear me out, Mr. Speaker, that I provide guidance for people who should know better. That when we get in here, let us get down to the serious business of the people of Barbados. That is what this administration is about, and that is what this administration should continue to be about, sir. The honourable member point to me, and I'm glad he mentioned me, to be honest, because it is true that I was close to tears, and it is true that there were tears of joy. On previous occasions, I said then, and I will say now, that the reality is that when I argue for the people of the city. It is not for to make sure that of the exclusion of other people. It is for the inclusion of them. And at that point, sir, I was not fully satisfied that we were engaged, but in short order, we were engaged. And that is because you have a listening administration, you have a listening and caring people who are taking care of the affairs of this state at this time, decided by the people of this country. So I want to make sure that I clear the air on that. And I thank the Honourable Member for highlighting for all and sundry, including Hansar, that I am a caring MP and that I do care. It's probably the only true thing that I said in here today, Mr. Speaker, sir, but I will not harp on that. What my contribution about is today, this afternoon, sir, it is about the legacy of World Cup. I want to make my entire presentation almost exclusively about the legacy of World Cup. Because obviously, as the MP, many people have walked up, they've asked me, why are we doing this for World Cup? This only for World Cup. But as other honourable members pointed out, when you improve a stadium, when you improve the stadium, when you improve the road capacity, when you improve all these different things, what it means is that you have that increased capacity beyond the 30th of June. Because I have it on good authority, sir, that once all things remaining equal, that there's something called July 1st. The day after June 30th, all of these investments continue to stay with us. I have it on good authority that on the 30th of June or the 1st of July, ICC World Cup West Indies will not take the developments, the toilets, the sinks from Oystains, Baxter's Road, or Pelican Village back with them when they leave. I have it on good authority that that will not be done. That it will be left here for the benefit of the people of Barbados and our visitors. Our visitors that contribute to our GDP and contribute to our standard of living in this country. I have it on good authority, sir, and if I am to be corrected, anybody can raise on a point of order, whether it is a point of order or not, whether to understand what a point of order is or not, and correct me if I am wrong. So I want to say again to Barbados that this ICC World Cup West Indies project that we are embarking upon in 2024 is money well invested. Now people ask, as I said before, why invest? Why this and why that? And I want to tell the people that ask those questions, and I want to tell the entire public of Barbados, you have the right to ask us the questions. We are here to answer to you. And that is why we stand in here with a sense of duty to respond to these questions. And I think that honourable members before me, particularly honourable member for Christchurch West, the honourable member for St. John just now, they did a good job in laying out why we are investing, where we are investing, how we are investing in the people of Barbados. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to speak about some specific upgrades that not only the constituency of the city of Bridgetown, but the capital city, the city of Bridgetown, meaning all of our capital, will benefit from. Now, there are a number of streets in Bridgetown that are known to need bathroom facilities so that people do not relieve themselves and we incur a stink. Those things are being upgraded even faster because this gave us an accelerated timeline to ensure that these things are done. The roads, we've seen a number of improvements in the roads, which was already in train, but what it has done is given us an accelerated program. Signage, sir. All of these are things that we, beyond the oval and the infrastructure, the little things, the bugbearers that bug people left, right, and center day in and day out are being addressed. The lighting. And how do I know about these bugbearers, sir? Because when you have these issues in the capital, in the city of Bridgetown, not only residents in the city of Bridgetown call me or call upon me to have them addressed. People from all over, because the city of Bridgetown belongs to all of us as the capital city of this country. So that is why on behalf of the residents, the citizens, and the people of the city of Bridgetown constituency, I want to thank the government of Barbados for putting forward this bid and for giving us this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the legacy projects that I want to underscore as I move on is this idea of entertainment, nightlife. Now, what is entertainment and nightlife? What's the benefit of it? Just to go out there and listen to some music. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have, I would call it almost an epidemic of mental health issues in the world. I would like to say that we have serious issues when it comes to mental health and depression and anxiety. That's why when the Honourable Member was trying to make a joke, I was smiling about crying, because funny enough, today is the first day I brought a handkerchief to Parliament, sir. And to tell you the truth, I come from a generation where there's no shame in crying. He may come from an older generation where a man can cry or he didn't mind. But if I have to shed a tear, sir, I will shed 2 or 3. That is the honest to God truth. I feel no way about it too. So I want to put that on record as well. But when you have a situation in a country where things are already fed to you through an algorithm on social media of negativity, and it increases your anxiety, and we take it for granted. But how many of you do not interact with social media? Right now, I'm sure people in here right now on social media, sir, interacting, and otherwise outside. And the fact of the matter is, it has been proven that the algorithms in these social media platforms are set to feed negativity to you, because the human being responds more to negativity, more comments, more engagement, more ad money for these people. That's been proven. We need entertainment as an outlet, even just for our mental health. We need entertainment as a method of increasing economic activity, as artists are allowed to be paid and make a living, as vendors are allowed to be paid and make a living, as the spin-off and the trickle-down from these activities are allowed to occur. So when I hear about the upgrade of Oistins, I ain't feel no way. I agree with the Honourable Member. I think that Spikestown should get some too. Of course, you got to come back Sirs Road and Pelican Village and at the Oval as well. All of these aspects of entertainment. At a meeting just the beginning of this week, I spoke about Nelson Street and giving Nelson Street some additional activity in the day, but also in the night as well, of entertainment, of a wholesome and family nature, PG-13, sir, and about how we can upgrade the facility and give it a feel that visitors via World Cup, but beyond through the legacy, can enjoy a Nelson Street, can enjoy a Pelican Village beyond June 30th. And in order for that to happen and to happen successfully, sir, I believe that the infrastructure and the investment must happen now. Now is the time. Here is the place. For me, one of the other legacy projects obviously would be the neighborhood upgrade. Residents that live in the area that sometimes may feel that opportunity may not come their way as often as they would like, obviously, have the opportunity to do so. And it's at this point I would really like to pause and congratulate and thank my branch and my office for going out there and seeking the help of the private sector for paint and other things to engage in our own community upgrade, because I too believe the government can't do it alone. It takes 2 hands to clap. And that is why the private sector, corporate Barbados, philanthropists, the government, everybody hold hand, because we in this together. In this 166 square miles, we can all do well together. And that is part of the legacy. There's the Good Neighbor program that people don't understand, that has been revitalized because of this program, where Kensington and the residents around Kensington have now entered into some more communication about how we can have entertainment in that area. And the members and residents of the area can participate and can live more harmonious with entertainment, nightlife, and residential areas where we know sometimes that there are issues. Not to talk about one of my favorite parts of it, where Kensington Oval have asked for a skills bike for the area to be able to engage unemployed people in the area when they have employment opportunities. All of these are things of a list that is not exhausted in relation to the benefits, not only of the World Cup, but the World Cup legacy project that I am focusing on in this contribution. Meaning that post-World Cup, there are many benefits to be incurred by the people, not in here, the people of Barbados. And that is why it is something that I believe is significant. Now this morning session, sir, I witnessed something that I've never witnessed before. I have never seen an MP, a member of parliament, keep so much noise and argue about money being invested in his constituency. I have never seen that before. This is a first for everything. That is a first. Because for me, you cannot tell me that the vendors and the fisher folk and those people who will benefit from the upgrade of the fisher community there and the market, that they are not worthy of $5,000. How you could $5 million? How can you say that? That is not anything nice to say. I think that we have to move away sometimes about just trying to catch attention. I tell my friends, anytime you want attention, play the anthem. That's what I do. Don't come in here and try to grab headlines and make a lot of mock sport at people. It went from singing people lullaby to talking about 1,200 jobs, 1,200 disciples, and making sport at people. I do not believe that it is the job of an opposition leader to get inside parliament and make sport at people, sir. It is not nice. And it almost brought me to tears too, sir. You understand? I'm a very emotional member of parliament today, sir. Because I take it very serious, all sport aside, when people, because of the way that they present, it can come across as though the people that you are talking about is not worthy of what we are doing in here, when the mere fact we are in here because of them, we are in here to serve them. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude my contribution and support for this bill by looking at the way that this World Cup was approached, to help people to understand some more of the facts, to clear the air on a number of things that have been said over the last few weeks. And I believe that here and now is a good time for people to get some of the facts. Now, the major part of World Cup occurs in my constituency, the city of Bridgetown, through Kensington Oval. But the fact is, World Cup is a national event. And the National Organizing Committee has taken a national approach to this event. So some people have said to me, why it is that the city getting all the jobs, why it is that Corey Lane getting all this. But I want to put the facts straight and set the record straight right now. The National Organizing Committee, when they were looking for vendors and suppliers, they went to Fund Access and got a list. They went to Barvin and got a list. They went to Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme and got a list. They went to a number of places, the Small Business Association, and got a list, because they wanted to ensure that right across the board, that Barbadians, from St. Lucie to St. Philip, St. Joseph to St. James, had an opportunity to be involved in this national endeavor. So I want to put it on the table that all Barbadians are entitled to benefit from projects like these. The other thing about this 1,200 jobs, I am here to make sure people understand, I was never given any money, although it was said in here, or any jobs in relation to World Cup. I will say it again. It's again unfortunate that the leader of the opposition is not in his seat, as usual, but I believe that it's important for him to know and hear, and for the record, the hands are to record. I was never given any money, not a cent, a dime, a 5 cent piece, sir, in relation to jobs for World Cup, or any jobs. What I said, and it may have been taken out of context, or I might have misspeak, who knows, we are human. I was told that 1,200 jobs would be created by the event, whether direct or indirect. And at the time, what I was arguing for is to ensure that a fair piece of the pie goes to all and sundry. And I had to make sure that if I didn't get any piece of the pie for my people, I would have shed more tears. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think if I would have shed some tears, because that is how it would have hurt me deeply to know. But I am glad that we have ensured that this national project is truly a national project, and one that all of us in here and all Barbadians can be very, very, very proud of. For me, I believe that these upgrades will hold us in good stead. We did upgrades in 2007 that held us in good stead going through. Upgrades that some of us did not even know about. The Honourable Member for St. Joseph spoke about security infrastructure that was put in place back then that is holding us in good stead all like today. And that is the things, the intangible that people don't see and feel and touch and don't understand, that those are all part of contribution towards these events, and these are all part of legacy of the events. In closing, sir, one of the things I'm excited about as I take my seat is the fact that come July 1st, the Pelican Fan Zone will remain. It will be transformed into another nightlife and even day life activity that those from not only just the cruise ship and thing can participate in. Come July 1st, all of the material structure and improvements at Oistins, at Kensington Oval will remain, and they will not leave the island, and it allows for greater capacity for people to hold shows, to hold events, and for economic activity to occur in the country. Come July 1st, there are a number of events planned, again, as I said, for areas such as Nelson Street and other areas, Baxter's Road, that will continue beyond June 30th. And I think that these are all reasons why we should be proud of the fact that we are hosting this event. We are on display for the entire world, and then we can be proud that when we put an event out there to the world, that the world can see that this little Barbados is continuing to punch above its weight. With those few words, sir, I am obliged to you. Thank you.
Honourable Member for St. Peter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I am joining the debate after having learned a few things in the last 2 months or so. I just want to say for the public record that if I ever become disenchanted with the Barbados Labour Party, if ever one of my colleagues gets a ministerial pay that I thought that I should get, and if ever that would cause me to leave the party, I will not join the Democratic Labour Party. And the reason why I say that, Mr. Speaker, is because I have now seen 2 former colleagues leave the Barbados Labour Party, go to the Democratic Labour Party, and the transformation of behavior suggests to me that it is a terrible thing. A really terrible thing to leave the Barbados Labour Party and go to the Democratic Labour Party. Because, well, first of all, I'm not sure that you would expect to be embraced. But whatever happens in that place, people end up getting on in a way that has surprised me and has shocked much of Barbados. I don't have a lot of time to spend on that, but I just thought that I would share that, because I think the display that we were treated to today says a lot about the state of our politics. And while it says a lot about the state of our politics, I do not think that we should allow ourselves to feel that it says similarly about our society. Most of our society is made up of right-thinking, decently behaved people. There are a few who do not believe that the old-time Barbadian way is the right way to behave. And I say that because, you know, while I was canvassing in 2015, it was right at the beginning of my canvassing, a lady asked me, after I had asked her for the vote, she said to me, and at that point, this is 2015, so she obviously had not heard today's display by the Honourable Member for Christchurch South. But she asked me, but Mr. Jordan, as I was leaving the house, so why a decent fellow like you gonna get involved in this politics thing? I answered her, but you know, this morning, I almost asked myself the same question. Not because of politics, but because of the level of almost vicious behavior that I think I saw demonstrated from the Honourable Member for Christchurch South today. And I just want to say to my constituents, the Member of Parliament for St. Peter, even if he were as sharp of tongue as his predecessor, will certainly not behave in as unseemly a way as the demonstration we saw from the leader of the, well, let me not say leader of the opposition because I don't know what that means anymore, but from the Honourable Member from Christchurch South. I want to indicate, though, Mr. Speaker, that a parliament should not have to spend an inordinate amount of time debating the two bills that we debate today. Not because the people are not to be taken into our confidence, not because information is not supposed to be shared with the people, but because for most of us, meaning most Barbadians, we recognize, we Barbadians, not we members of this honorable place, we Barbadians recognize the value of international sporting events. As a matter of fact, international events of most types, we understand the value that it brings to and adds to our country. This value, Mr. Speaker, is a value that is demonstrated not just at the national level, but it is a value that is demonstrated even at the parochial level, at the community level. Over the past maybe 15 years, we've had a few international events. The Honourable Member for St. Joseph spoke this morning about Cricket World Cup 2007. And I know persons who were able to expand their living facilities, their homes, and were able to take some limited advantage of 2007, but some further advantage after 2007 from the income stream generated by those additions to their dwellings. We had cricket again in 2010. I know that somewhere around, I think it was 2006, we had the World Cup of Golf. I'm also advised that at some point we had a boxing, international boxing competition here as well. But I share, Mr. Speaker, that the value that these sporting and other activities bring to a country, bring to a community, are benefits, the value constitutes benefits that the expenditure does not really pay for. And I'll indicate what I mean. Now, any event in a country of this caliber will bring substantial numbers of visitors to our shores. I've spent some time in the hotel business, in the tourism industry, and I will say to you, Mr. Speaker, that when we talk about benefit, I'll begin by speaking about economic benefit. There is benefit from increased use of accommodation in the country. When these persons travel, they have to eat, they have to drink. And where cricket is concerned, maybe I should allow somebody else to say this, but where cricket is concerned, sometimes the drinking outweighs the eating. These people have to be transported from one place to another. These people spend money in shops, buying various types of trinkets, sometimes souvenirs, sometimes articles of clothing, sometimes anything that will allow them, after the event, to be able to remember their good experience at the event. Memorabilia and these kinds of things. And so, Mr. Speaker, when I do a simple calculation, I'm making an assumption of what we call room nights, 10,000 room nights. Now, we have upward of maybe 20,000 rooms in our country, 6 to 7, 8,000 in hotels. We have about almost a similar number now in villa accommodation. And we have a significant number in what we call the real Airbnbs, the apartments and the rooms added to homes and that kind of thing. If out of this event, we get only 10,000 room nights, and 10,000 persons, if each of those persons spends 5 nights in Barbados, and if the average rate is $200 per night, then out of accommodation alone, this country will earn 20 million Barbados dollars. Out of accommodation alone. Now, those of us who go to cricket know that the bankstrap can offload 6 times in one day at Kensington. I don't know the names of all those other things, Honourable Member, Mr. Speaker. I'm being interrupted with the names of drinks that I'm not really very familiar with. And my dad never sold any of those things. But the chair of the organizing committee has indicated that Barbados could see $100 million spent. And it is easy to understand that if conservatively 20 million could be spent in accommodation alone. And so, Mr. Speaker, the benefit for the country is significant, and Barbados must be honored, and Barbadians must be honored to be able to be a part of this sporting activity, but also significant economic activity. Now, beside the sale of food and the sale of drinks and the transport and the accommodation, there's also the matter of cultural and community interaction. When people travel for events, they do not spend all of their time at the event location. And so there will be significant opportunities, and I've already said to some of my constituents in Six Mens, we expect that some of the persons who come here will find their way to Six Mens. And I will tell you also, Mr. Speaker, that if Christchurch South has a member of parliament who does not care about the town in that constituency, the people of St. Peter are quite aware that if I could get their hands on any percentage of this $5 million, it goes straight to St. Peter. I have not been sent here to look gift horses in the mouth. I've been sent here by the people of St. Peter to make sure that whatever benefit I can get for the people of St. Peter, that I get. I am here to speak on their behalf. We've heard in this honorable chamber today a person who was elected to represent people getting all bad over the fact that government is going to spend $5 million to help those people. Now, I know what my constituents in Six Mens may say, and I don't even know if I should say it in here. But maybe if I just think aloud, Mr. Speaker, they tell me all the time that the real fishing village in Barbados is in Six Mens. All the others, they consider to be counterfeit. Six Mens is the real fishing village. It's not the only place fish is sold. It is the real fishing village, the genuine article. And so, my only fear is that when I go to Six Mens, they may ask me, how come, and I'm just saying it the way they may say it, how come a man get 5 million, getting on bad about getting it, and they ain't get nothing? Yep. That is the only fear that I have. But I want to say to the people of Barbados that this government recognizes what it needs to do. The Honourable Member for Christchurch West was quite clear, and that's one of the reasons why he said that there's obviously some disconnect between the real Barbados and the Honourable Member for Christchurch South. Because whenever somebody come into your house, I mean, you know, it's all right to get up and talk about values and all these kind of things. Whenever somebody, when I was a little fella, somebody come in from over and away, all the glasses in the cupboard that we can use, all of them pull out, then you realize that they're dusty. So you got to sit down, stand up over the sink, and wash them out, because you're making your place decent for those who visit. It has nothing to do with feeling bad about yourself. It is understanding that hospitality, about entertaining strangers, entertaining visitors, entertaining guests, is really the ultimate form of unselfishness, where you put others before yourself. And so, Mr. Speaker, the benefits to communities are going to be significant. And I will be asking those who are organizing to ensure that Six Mens is included in the mentions. Because since Oisin's representative does not want Oisins to be mentioned, I would like to substitute Six Mens for Oisins. And I'm saying it in this place so that those who are responsible can do what is necessary so that those persons can now be transported a little bit further down to, well, up to Six Mens. We cannot, though, Mr. Speaker, underestimate this matter of community interaction. Barbados has a tremendous legacy. A legacy of struggle, a legacy of fighting back, a legacy of staying the course, of surviving against the odds. This is the place where the slave code was implemented. This is the place where enslaved Africans and enslaved Creolese people give their lives in struggle. We have a lot to share with the world. And when persons come here for cricket, while they come maybe primarily to be entertained, to have a good time, to drink some of the drinks that I heard, the names I heard mentioned earlier, while they come maybe primarily for that, Barbados must use the opportunity to share our heritage, our legacy, the values that we have developed out of that struggle. Absolutely. We must use the opportunity to share that with them. Heritage is something that cannot be duplicated. You can go to the Middle East, into the Gulf, and you can find beaches that have been recreated, well, created, not recreated, beaches that have been man-made, coconut trees. It may remind you of a tropical paradise, but Mr. Speaker, they don't have the heritage, they don't have the depth of experience, they don't have that which, when shared, will cause people to connect at an emotional level. You get repeat visitors when there is connection at the emotional level. This Cricket World Cup is an opportunity, a significant opportunity for us to share that which has shaped us, to share what we have become through struggle with those who come to our shores. I want to say a little bit before I say about the matter of legacy. I think the Honourable Member, I think it was for the city, who indicated that after the improvements are made, the organizers cannot lift those improvements and take them to the headquarters of the ICC or any place else. Whoever wins, if it is not the West Indies that win, all they'll be able to take from the country is the trophy. The benefits remain in the country. The infrastructural developments and improvements and enhancements remain in the country. The memories of those who have visited are taken back as an export with those who have visited the country. The memories will live on. That is what legacy is all about. And that is what, as a country, we want. Because as a country that is, at this point, heavily dependent on the tourism industry, we want visitors to come to our shores. We want to be able to connect with them nationally and at the community level within their emotional space. We want them to take it back with them. And that's why those of us who have been in the industry talk about tourism as an export industry. We export experiences through our visitors. And so the legacy benefits will mean that many of those persons will return to the country. It will mean that many of them, after sharing their experiences with their friends and colleagues, some of those friends and colleagues will make decisions to come to Barbados as well. And so the legacy benefits will carry on for a very, very long time. The one benefit, Mr. Speaker, that those in business will speak about is the benefit of exposure as it relates to advertising. It is almost impossible to quantify the benefit of that advertising exposure, not to those who come, but to those whom the advertising exposure will impact in such a way that they will make decisions in the future to come to Barbados for vacation. That benefit, while it is not possible to maybe accurately quantify it, those who have done the research tell us that it is almost always exponentially greater than the hard cash investment. And so, Mr. Speaker, I submit to you, and I submit to this Honourable Chamber, I submit to the country that this exercise of ensuring that we can host a successful T20 Cricket World Cup is one that comes out of good, sound decision making. It is one that builds on the experiences that we've had in the past, and that, I haven't spoken much to that, but that is a significant difference between this Barbados Labour Party and the party that the Honourable Member for Christchurch South is attempting to invade. It is a significant difference. This Barbados Labour Party learns. It is a learning organization. It is not perfect. It makes mistakes from time to time, but it learns. And so we have built on the foundation of the experience in 2007, and we have used that to craft legislation, to craft an approach to hosting an event that will redound to the benefit of Barbados. It will redound to the benefit, I believe, of cricket in Barbados, but I'm absolutely certain that it will redound to the benefit of the communities across this country. And so, Mr. Speaker, because of those reasons, I have no hesitation in supporting the two bills before this Honourable Chamber. I commend them to the Chamber, and I commend them to this country. I'm obliged.
Honourable Mr. Michael Office.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise simply to support the current bills before this Honourable Chamber, in particular the bills that have been led by the Honourable Member for St. Joseph as it relates to Cricket World Cup. Needless to say, Mr. Speaker, the bills that entertain this House today are primarily relating to facilitating World Cup cricket. I don't think that there has been anything said thus far in the course of this debate, either on this side or on the other side, that would suggest that we are in any way at cross purposes as it relates to the intent of this particular piece of legislation. But what concerns me, Mr. Speaker, and what I believe, just as other colleagues have done this afternoon in terms of addressing some matters raised by the Leader of the Opposition, is that I too feel compelled to say a few words in relation to two of the allegations that were made in relation to certainly this government and in relation to our handling of the ICC Cricket World Cup. The Honourable Member for Christchurch South, I suppose in an effort to distract from what has transpired over the course of this last weekend in relation to George Street. Because you know, bad news has a way of lasting at least a 7-day period. And I'm sure the call-in programs, as they were hot yesterday, continue to be hot and will be hot for the next few days. So I understand the motivation of the Honourable Member to try to stir up some other headline that would create some level of confusion that he could then distract the attention off of his party and try to place it on the government as it relates to some misappropriation or some bad dealings in relation to Cricket World Cup. The first issue that I think he was trying to make a headline on is, first of all, to convey the impression that in some way this administration was seeking to deprive ordinary Barbadians who vend in this country from being able to ply their trade and to earn a living. He made reference specifically to the people of Cheapside who ply their trade there, sir. That is an area that is very near and dear to my heart because my grandfather used to operate a store in the Cheapside market. And therefore, when he spoke of these people, he wanted to convey the impression to them that this Barbados Labour Party administration in some way was going to uproot these individuals just on the eve of World Cup and cast them aside, preventing them from being able to engage in trade and to be able to make a living, sir. Despite the interventions of the Honourable Member for St. Philip North, and certainly indeed myself, sir, trying to clarify the situation, that this Barbados Labour Party's track record is sound when it comes to the issue of vending. It is under this administration, sir, that this party brought legislation in relation to national vending, decriminalizing in this country persons who under the previous administration had to run helter-skelter with their trays, their oranges, their apples, and all the belongings and the tacklings, sir, and even go to you, Honourable Mr. Speaker, for representation because police were up and down behind them trying to move them from the wayside. He forgets the history of the now Democratic Labour Party that he belongs to. So, Mr. Speaker, when he comes here to convey the impression that the same Barbados Labour Party, who in an effort to upgrade the Fairchild Street terminal and the markets therein, took the vendors from there, made sure that provision was made for those vendors, and has sought to rebuild and reconstruct the facilities so that vendors could go back into those facilities, in improved surroundings, sir, being able to now be more comfortable to have proper bathroom facilities, sir, in their surroundings so all and sundry can come to them. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition, a member for Christchurch South, wants the public to believe that we're going to pick up the people in Cheapside Market, or we're going to pick up the people in Temple Yard and stop them from playing their trade without making proper accommodations for them at any point in time, sir. Mr. Speaker, it is not fair to this administration. And for those who know the history of the interventions that this Barbados Labour Party has made in relation to working with the same vendors associations, consulting with them when major changes have to be made, sir, I know that they are disappointed in what they heard this morning and the allegations that were being made across the floor to this Barbados Labour Party administration and to this government. Because we are the same party who have introduced lay-by vending. I believe the one in Redmond's Village has already started. We are the same party, sir, who in addition to doing all the other things in the Fairchild Street Market has also got the plans in place, and soon we will be able to start the improvements to the Constitution River terminal where those vendors operate presently, to bring some sort of structure and organization to the spaces where, of course, people try to vend to make a living, but which become unsanitary, which is plagued by issues of improper drainage, which has a lot of abandoned huts that people have left there and the rats are infesting the various areas, sir. This Barbados Labour Party goes in and makes sure that it consults with the vendors. It makes sure that it talks to people, understand what it is that they are doing, and tries to find spaces to be able to make sure that we can offset any loss of earnings that people may have. But I want to go further because the Honourable Member is trying to imply that in some way that because World Cup cricket is coming, that all of a sudden we have just decided that we are going to look at the vendors in Swan Street, in Cheapside, or that we are going to start talking to the people who are in Temple Yard. And Mr. Speaker, these discussions have been ongoing for years. And I believe, just as another Honourable Member said earlier, that if we did not have a pandemic to go through, if we did not have to divert resources into keeping our people alive, this administration would have been able to accelerate a lot of the programs to see the improvements, not only to the city of Bridgetown, but to all of our cities, sir. You know, just like the Honourable Member for St. Peter, who recognizes that something like is go wrong when people leave this Barbados Labour Party. They forget that they signed their names to manifestos, that they signed their names in covenants of hope produced by this Barbados Labour Party that speaks about a philosophy that grounds each of us every day in what it is that we came to public life to do. They forget. But I know that our 2018 manifesto, which bore the signature of the Honourable Leader of the opposition and the member for Christchurch South spoke to developments of our cities. It spoke to development in the Speightstown area. Speightstown was supposed to be a heritage, an artistic, and a culinary center, sir. Whole Town was to be viewed as a tourism and an entertainment district. St. Lawrence Gap, we saw that as the entertainment district and wanted to build on that. Oistins was to become the epicenter of the Barbados fishing industry. And Six Roads was to be viewed as an industrial corridor, sir. We have started the process since coming back to office in 2018 of developing each of these spaces in terms of our cities. We recently also passed the planning and development legislation, the physical development plan, sir, to ensure that we started to look even deeper at how we would develop and revitalize a number of our cities. I say all this to say, sir, that this is not something that is happening for World Cup cricket. This is not something that we have just dusted off of a shelf and we said, we are going to do these couple things and cause confusion amongst the lives of ordinary Barbadians, sir. These are plans carefully thought out by a Barbados Labour Party administration that once resources are available to the government, that we ensure that we are able to accelerate our vision for this country, to transform this country, sir. The Honourable Member didn't talk about when we did, coming through the pandemic, remember we did the square, Golden Square. We developed the Botanical Gardens, sir. Development has been taking place in this country, whether in terms of spaces for ordinary Barbadians or otherwise. Sometimes we have to remind people of the things that we have been doing in the last few years, because there is a narrative that often tends to creep in where people believe that because you are preparing for World Cup cricket, that all of a sudden that you haven't been doing anything for ordinary Barbadians and trying to transform their lives. So they will not talk about the developments in education, in the facilities that were improved in terms of their lighting, sir, so that our children could be able to have better lighting within their classrooms. They're not going to talk about that. That this administration spent almost $8 million in 1 year to be able to improve a number of our primary schools across the island, more than the Democratic Labour Party spent in 3 or 4 years prior to leaving office, sir. They don't want to talk about that. But these are the things that we have done while we are preparing for Cricket World Cup. We have done several other things to make sure that people in this country can also benefit. So I understand that it is politically expedient for a leader of an opposition or any opposition to try to make it seem as though we are all of a sudden spending this money and in some way we are trying to uproot the citizens of this country who are vending. As I said earlier, sir, any attempt, any plans that this administration has to move anybody from anywhere in any city, in any part of this country, is always done with a level of consultation, of sending not the public officials alone, but sending in communications teams to be able to talk to people, to understand their concerns, sir, before any action is taken. And therefore, as I said earlier, the Barbados Tourism Investment Inc. has been in those discussions looking at the spaces in and around Bridgetown, of which Cheapside, as well as the Temple Yard, have been on the table for years. And if there is any intention to move anybody, those conversations will be continued to be had and decisions made that are in the interest of people. But we are not going to uproot people without at least having the conversation, without exploring the options, and certainly making sure that people can go to spaces where they can equally continue to engage in their trade so that they can make money for themselves and certainly for their families. The second issue that I recognize the Honourable Member was seeking to make a headline over was this issue as well of this $5 million being spent on Oistins. Now, sir, I don't know, well, actually I know. I know the Honourable Member is not accustomed going into his constituency on his own admission. I I know that. On his own admission, he has been an absentee representative of the people of Christchurch South, so I am not taking tales out of school. That is fact. But to give the impression that even after he has been the one calling for improvements to Oistins, because he knows the same document that I read from the Barbados Labour Party manifesto spoke to a vision by this party to be able to develop and to build out the Oistins facility as a hub, as a city within Barbados. So he has called for the same thing that he is now criticizing us for spending money on. Not to mention the fact that the Honourable Member for Christchurch West had to point out that monies had been acquired through the IDB to be able to assist the country through the then Democratic Labour Party administration with building up the same cities, with building up the same Oistins as well, sir. And the only thing that has stood in our way has been a pandemic. And the fact that we are now in a position to host people, yes, in Barbados. And I understand, sir, that our numbers are looking good in relation to tourism. Unfortunately, Honourable Minister, hard at work, is overseas at this moment representing this country, sir, because he has been doing an amazing job in making sure that we get people to our shores to spend money in this economy. And I understand that for June, our arrivals from the UK are strong. As it relates to the bookings right now, our bookings are at 31% above the 2023 levels, sir. And this is for the period from the 1st of April for the next 6 months. We expect that we will see people. You heard the Honourable Member for St. Peter speaking about the spend that can occur if we get people in the planes that we have been opening up the markets for to get them to Barbados. It is not only the hotels that will benefit, but it will also be the same vendors. It will be the people in Oistins and the surrounding areas, the people around Bridgetown that will also benefit, sir. The car rental companies are going to benefit. And what bothers me is that clearly because he's only recently started going to Oistins, because I think the last occasion when he and I were in Oistins was when we had an issue with a vendor in Oistins who was unceremoniously put out of a stall after her mother had died. And I won't tell you the response of the people in Oistins then, because they have spoken since then about how they felt about his presence. But what I will say is for those people who come to these shores, they are looking for what we describe as experiential tourism, experiences where they can, again, drink a glass of rum and coke with a local, not buying just the bottle off of the shelf, but being able to get a bowl of ice and mix a drink and put the hand in the drink with the same local, sir. That's what tourists like to come to Barbados to do when they go to bars and to rum shops and to Oistins. And the reality is that over the years, Oistins has become that place that people, whenever they come, they go in droves to this place to experience what locals do, to experience the music, to see how Bajans just walk up, how they move the waist, what they eat, how they socialize. Those are the things that Oistins has brought. It has brought a culture, it has brought a community to that society, sir. And it has become, when you ask tourists where they want to go when they come to Barbados, one of the first places most tourists will tell you is they want to go to Oistins, they hear about Oistins, they want to go there. So why would the Honourable Leader of the Opposition and Representative for Christchurch South take umbrage over the fact that the Barbados Labour Party is investing in the city of Oistins? It does not, I can understand you want other monies to be spent across other areas in the country. But for the fact that this particular hub is a place that has been identified for development, it is a place where potentially we have looked now at the coastline and we've recognized that even when you come to transportation, that the transportation is taking up prime location on the coastline, and that we have identified spaces on the inland side that we can look in the future to be able to move the transportation arrangements that now exist in Oistins, sir. We have said that. This is nothing new. And if it is that we are in a position to be able to make those changes now, and his concern is that we did not procure correctly or that we expedited the process and we did something wrong. Well, the Honourable Member for Christchurch West spoke earlier and answered all the concerns and all the questions that he had, and outlined the fact that and he didn't even seem to know the bonfire system exists, which is unfortunate. But I suppose if you don't understand the estimates, I suppose it is fair to assume that you do not also understand the procurement process. And perhaps the Honourable Leader may want to attend some of our sessions for training to be able to fully apprise himself of how ordinary people can apply to take advantage of the procurement within government for services. Because to make it seem as though we have done something wrong when there is a clear process. There's a process, a normal process for procurement, and there's an expedited process for procurement. And there's a process to be followed, because none of us as ministers can pick up the government's money and decide how we spend it. So if it is that the Honourable Member for Christchurch East has now explained exactly how this process has been followed, and that we've heard the list of all the things that are to be done in Oistins. So without a question of a doubt, we understand that the drainage is supposed to be fixed, the place is supposed to be spruced up in terms of painting the various shops, that they're replacing the awnings and stuff, which I've already seen that work being started. And you know, I recall, even when I was there in Oistins at the time, that the discussion then was about the people who played dominoes, and arrangements were being made under the gazebo for these people. So to convey the impression that, you know, the corporate sponsor that he had lined up all of a sudden pull out, and that people on high thwarting the process of him being able to finally act as a representative, sir, it is disingenuous. And the Barbados Labour Party cannot stand idly by and allow itself to be discredited in this way, when the good people of Oistins, the good people of the city, the good people of all of the hubs, the Pelican Village, Hayman's Market, all of these people stand to benefit not just from the injection of the money in the Oistins area, sir, but the injection of monies that we've put into Kensington Oval and that we intend to place within all of the various hubs that Barbadians and locals will be able to enjoy throughout the period of World Cup. But sir, I can't sit without talking about legacy, because we started on a journey to discuss and to put in place something called We Gathering. And we were halted because of the pandemic as well. And we have said, Prime Minister Motley has declared that 2025 will be that opportunity again, where parish by parish, it is our intention to be able to restart the We Gathering exercise, to again invite people from across the world to each of the parishes, to showcase the parishes, to make sure that we welcome people and people understand what it is that each of the parishes, the history of the parishes, the cultural heritage of the parishes, and what they represent, sir. The Honourable Member probably had a problem with that vision as well, and will probably have a problem with the vision that is to be executed for 2025. But money will have to be spent even for that, in order for us to, as we have said, welcome people to our shores, but also to see very clinical improvements to infrastructure in each of the parishes across the country. And I don't know how you can be grudgeful of these improvements, which will resound to the benefit of Bajans. How many Bajans use, how many promoters you have in Barbados that will benefit from an improved Kensington Oval? He doesn't like the creative industries now? Just as he doesn't like the homeless and he doesn't like the disabled community, he don't like the creative sector who will benefit from an opportunity to be able to utilize a facility that not only is able to be used for Cricket World Cup and for cricket generally, but will also be able to be utilized for the benefit of our cultural exposure. He don't like that either. So we're not supposed to do any improvements to Kensington Oval because the Honourable Member is now no longer a member of this side, sir. Make it make sense, because it does not make sense, Mr. Speaker, to me. I believe that I have a responsibility too, in terms of legacy, to make sure that we start improvements in relation to our road infrastructure. We have already done so, because you can't just also improve in terms of the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure of plants, and not make sure that people can get to and fro their surroundings. And so fortunately, we got the 30 million at the beginning of the year. But we didn't get the 30 million at the beginning of the year because of Cricket World Cup. And I want to make that clear, Mr. Speaker. Because we had been indicating to the country all along the challenges that the Ministry of Transport and Works has had in every parish speaks in relation to weather. That the weather had been crippling us in terms of being able to build roads, in particular, within the wet season. And the opportunity to be able to do an accelerated mill and pave program came to us in January of this year, when the Prime Minister made the announcement to bring that much needed relief that was necessary to the country, so that every morning I did not open a slew of messages telling me about which potholes existed in the country and how big they were and how many craters were opening up. I did not have to deal with the glare of my colleagues and the katai from my colleagues because their roads were not being fixed. But now, sir, I am pleased that not only have we done roads in the city, because that is obviously where a lot of the work will be, in terms of Cricket World Cup, will be centralized. We've done over 16 roads within the city, in and around the Kensington Oval area. And it is by no means the only area that will get roads, because we have seen roads from across the length and breadth of Barbados, main arteries, that have eased a bit of the pressure on Bajans traversing this country, cut down on the bills that they've had to incur with respect to their vehicles getting damaged, sir. We recognize the problem and we have tried to solve the problem. That was not a problem to be solved because of Cricket World Cup. So, member for the city, I am happy that you have gotten an ease. I am happy that Highway 7, that we will be able to, in the next few days or so, be in a position to be able to start the portion of Highway 7 that is along the Lobster Alive to the KMPG in Hastings, that area. It is a bit more complex in terms of a mill and pave program than the other sections, but the assurance is given to the public of Barbados that that is on the agenda as well, to also be done before the rainy season comes. And why, sir? Because we're trying to ease the pressure. It is not that we ain't gonna have to come back and pick back at Highway 7 or even Highway 1 at some point in time. But the truth is that we have to do something now. You know, the Democratic Labour Party doesn't understand how to ease the bleeding, you know. They like everything to bleed out. So they want us to go and drag the people to the wire, let them have to be resuscitated, instead of being able to deal and to address the problem, sir. But we are clear and we are honest and we are open in what we are doing. I have said it and I will say it again. Highway 7, we have tried to alleviate the challenges on Highway 7. But we also have a South Coast Sewage project that is also on stream and progressing nicely. And our intention is that at some point we may have to dig back up the road, yes. But for right now, we are making sure that those potholes and those craters that existed along Highway 7 do not become the inconvenience that they have been to Bajans and to other road users across this country. And when that time comes, when we've got all of our designs in place to be able to do the South Coast Sewage Treatment mains lane, that will have to be done in the appropriate time, and arrangements will be made for that as well, sir. And the last thing I want to say, Mr. Speaker, I heard the honourable member complain about roads that we did in Thornbury Hill. Again, I don't know, he seems to have only now collided with the fact that he is a representative for Christchurch South, complaining about which side of the road it belonged to and who it was done for. Sir, I have never in my time as minister, I can't speak for the others, all of my colleagues that have remained with the Barbados Labour Party will message me from time to time, call me, send me a picture, and tell me about some issue in their constituency, some road, some drain, some well that needs doing. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition and the member for Christchurch South has never written to me about any road. But I have fixed roads that I know that, because I live in the constituency of Christchurch South as well. And I also know, as a resident, as a constituent, as a voter, the roads that people are using, the roads that are of concern to people, sir. And so I don't need the representative to tell me what needs to be done in the parish. If he has now chosen to collide with the fact that he's a representative, so be it. But as a Barbados Labour Party administration, I have said repeatedly, we do not have the luxury of picking and choosing where we do roads. We have 30 seats. We have 30 constituencies that express confidence in this party, and for that reason, we have to be clinical, we have to be focused in the way in which we allocate precious government resources. So I want, Mr. Speaker, to just simply have answered the questions that were raised by the Honourable Member, because I understand this desire for headlines. I understand he may be troubled coming here today because another letter has circulated calling for the resignation of the General Secretary and the President of the Democratic Labour Party, and that may have tickled him a little bit because of all that has happened over the weekend, sir. You know, and that the author of this most recent letter is upset with the General Secretary of the Democratic Labour Party because of the way in which it has sought to now, in a sense, degrade the Democratic Labour Party, as if they couldn't do it all on their own. Sir, it is unfortunate, but we must not be the subject of the challenges that are going on within their party and their division. We are focused as a political party on the agenda, on the mission that we have come to public life to address. I am hopeful that with Cricket World Cup and with other opportunities that are on the horizon for Barbados, that we give the Barbadians and we give those who are coming to our shores and those who are watching an opportunity to see who we truly are, to be true Barbadians in thought and deed. We are known for our hospitality. We are known for welcoming people. We are perhaps the most welcoming throughout the entire Caribbean region, and of that we must be proud, sir, in terms of how we treat to other people. Now, it is not to say that we must not treat to each other in the same way that we ask of people to treat to others, because we cannot expect or send a message that it is okay to treat people coming to Barbados a particular way, but equally that we do not do the same to our brothers and to our sisters in various communities and to the people that we represent. So I will not stand here and say that Cricket World Cup is for the people coming from outside, but rather Cricket World Cup is for all of us. And we must all find a way to be part of the space, to be, as MPs, to be able to encourage our people to take advantage of the opportunities that exist. In the city, I know there's a Good Neighbors program, which Ambassador Noel, who is the chairman for the Cricket World Cup, has been focused on in terms of being able to identify the skill sets of people within the city to ensure that we are in a position to match persons, not only for World Cup, but even after. That the people in and around Kensington have an opportunity to know when events are happening so that even if they want to be a part of the events on the outside or the inside, that they are alerted to it, sir. That is the Good Neighbor program. And perhaps it is something that we need to extend across all of the cities as we seek to also develop each and every one of the cities across the country, sir. So again, I support the intention of this particular legislation. I would hope that in the course of the next few weeks as well, we'll see some improvements across the country as well to the street lighting in some areas and also to the signage. We, for a long time, we've spoke about the signage project. We do have the audit complete, and the process of tendering has just closed, and therefore we should be able to have these signs manufactured very shortly to be able to replace a lot of the broken signage, sir. That is not coinciding with no World Cup cricket. It is coinciding with the timing of when the bids have closed and the tendering process has been done. Sir, has nothing to do with Cricket World Cup. And if we are able to replace some of the signs prior to Cricket World Cup, then so be it. If we are not able to do so, sir, we will make sure that that signage continues into the rest of this financial year to be able to ensure that Bajans know where they are going and that the tourists who are coming to Barbados also understand where they're going, and they don't have to be told to look for a bus stop or look for a standpipe or look for a cow parked under a tree. We are seeking to improve gradually all of our infrastructure. And I would therefore urge Barbadians that are participating to get their tickets. If 31,000 people have already purchased tickets, I would hope that Barbadians are at the forefront of that and that we will have certainly a peaceful and an enjoyable Cricket World Cup season. With those few words, Mr. Speaker, I'm obliged.
Honourable Member for St. Joseph.
Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a third time. Sorry. Beg to move that you do now resolve.
No, the bill be read a second time.
I
Bill be read a second time. After that.
beg to move this bill be read a second time.
Question that the aforementioned bill be read a second time. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that you do now leave the chair and that this House resolve itself into committee for further consideration of this bill.
Question that the Speaker do not leave the chair and the House resolve itself into committee. Further consideration of this bill. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
This House is now in committee.
Mr. Chairman, permission to call this bill in clauses, in parts and in clauses. Parts.
So
Part 1, clauses 1 and 2.
Beg to move that part 1 stand part.
Part 1.
the question is that part 1, clauses 1 and 2 stand part. All honourable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 2, clauses 3 through to 22.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that part 2, clauses 3 to 22 stand part.
The question is that part 2, clauses 3 to 20 stand part. All honourable members in favor, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 3. Part 3, clauses 23 to 26.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that part 3, being clauses 23 to 26, stand part.
The question is that part 3, clauses 23 to 26 stand part. All honourable members in favor, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 4, clauses 27 to 38.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that part 4, being clauses 27 through 38, stand part.
The question is that part 4, clauses 27 to 38 stand part. All honourable members in favor, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 5, clauses 39 through 51.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that part 5, being clauses 39 through 51, stand part.
The question is that part 5, clauses 39 to 51 stand part. All honourable members in favor, say aye. All honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
First schedule.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that the first schedule be the first schedule to the bill.
The question is that the first schedule will be the first schedule to the bill. All honourable members in favor, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Second schedule.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that the second schedule be the second schedule to the bill.
The The question is that the second schedule be the second schedule to the bill. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Report.
Mrs. Chairman, I beg to move that you do not report His Honor the Speaker the passing of one bill in committee.
The question is that I do not report to His Honor the Speaker the passing of one bill in committee. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have
You
it.
just call it? You just.
The chairman of committees is reporting the passing of one bill in committee. Honourable member for St. Joseph.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that this bill be read a third time.
Question is that the bill be read a third time. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that this bill do now pass and be cited as the ICC Cricket World Cup West Indies Act 2024.
Question is that the aforementioned bill be passed and so cited. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it. This bill is passed and so cited.
Order number 12, sir. In the name of the Honorable Attorney General, to move the second reading of the Visiting Police Forces ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 Bill 2024.
Honourable member for St. Joseph.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a second time.
Question is that the bill be read a second time. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that you do now leave the chair. Mr. Speaker, that you do now leave the chair. And this is certainly your house, sir. And that this House resolve itself in committee for further consideration of this bill.
Question is that the Speaker do not leave the chair and the House resolve itself in the committee for further consideration of this bill. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
This House is now in committee.
Clauses 1 and 2.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that clauses 1 and 2 stand part.
The question is that clauses 1 and 2 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Clauses 3 through 6.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that clauses 3 through 6 stand part.
The question is that clauses 3 through 6 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Clauses 7 and 8.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that clauses 7 and 8 stand part.
The question is that clauses 7 and 8 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Clauses 9 through 12.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that clauses 9 through 12 stand part.
The question is that clauses 9 through 12 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Clauses 13 through 17.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that clauses 13 through 17 stand part.
The question is that clauses 13 through 17 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Clauses 18 through 21.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that clauses 18 through 21 stand part.
The question is that clauses 18 through 21 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Clauses 22 through 24.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that clauses 22 through 24 stand part.
The question is that clauses 22 through 24 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Schedule.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that the schedule be the schedule to the bill.
The question is that the schedule be the schedule to the bill. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that you do not report to His Honour the Speaker the passing of one bill in committee.
The question is that I do not report to His Honor the Speaker the passing of one bill in committee. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
The chairman of committees is reporting the passing of one bill in committee. Honourable member for St. Joseph.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a third time.
The question is that the bill be read a third time. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this bill do now pass and be cited as the Visiting Police Forces ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 Act of 2024.
The question is that this bill be passed and so cited. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it. This bill is passed and so cited.
Recommittal of papers, sir.
Honourable Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm commanded to lay the Immigration ICC Cricket World Cup West Indies 2024 Mutual Recognition of Visas Regulations 2024.
Revert to government business.
Honourable Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With that, we've come to the end of today's sitting. I therefore beg to move the adjournment of the House. But before I do so, Mr. Speaker, I know that this weekend, many of us will be celebrating National Heroes Day on the 28th of April. It will be a national holiday, and I know that Barbadians of all walks of life will certainly be taking time to reflect on all of our national heroes and the contribution that they have made. I know that there are many other heroes as well out there who are certainly in our lives and people who have contributed. And I hope that that day is taken as a day certainly of reflection and certainly of gratitude for the work of people who have gone before us. And certainly those who are living who are still contributing as well to the Barbadian landscape. I would also want to take the opportunity as well to invite all Barbadians to be able to join us at the Barbados Labour Party's Heroes Day picnic on the Bank Holiday Monday on the 29th at the East Coast Road, and to wish everyone a safe and enjoyable weekend as we celebrate certainly a weekend of activities along with a lot of the entertainment events that are taking place across the island as well. So with those few words, Mr. Speaker, I therefore beg to move the adjournment of the House until May 7th at 10 a.m.
Question is that this honourable chamber be adjourned until Tuesday, the 7th day of May 2024 at 10 a.m. in the forenoon. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it. This honourable chamber stands adjourned until Tuesday, the 7th day of May 2024 at 10 a.m. in the forenoon.